he still believes that he has 80% approval ratings within the Republican Party. And if he actually sees that, he's not going anywhere.
Isn't it kind of funny? It sounds like we all just want him to be a little bit better. We're not asking for like major rehaul with him, right? Like it was just like, could you just be a little bit better for this moment, perhaps?
But a leopard cannot change its spots, and Trump ain't doing it at 78 years old.
But can I say one thing though? Let's not forget that this dude came in, and everybody came against him. The media, like he hit the beehive. He got stung by everybody, the media, and it was all set up. It was all bullshit. Russia was bullshit. What kind of attitude would you have if you're a boss? And you came in, and you know what you said? You're fake news, and because of that, look at CNN has gone to shit because he pointed them out. All the Pelosi, everybody came on him. Bro, he fought back. I wouldn't trust anybody, and I'd be an asshole if I was him too. So what do you expect? I don't agree with going after DeSantis, but bro, it's a fight. If you're number one and you want to be number one, you're talking shit and the gloves come off.
I get that. Remember when people would always say, I actually do like Trump, but the tweets are a bit much. And I always thought that was such a bizarre thing to say because it's like, oh, so if the guy who did the thing that nobody said could be done would just behave a little bit more like you who've never accomplished anything, then, so that's why it just always fell flat to me. Like,
you know what's funny, Dave, that's the issue. That's Adam's problem. That Adam cannot see Trump's accomplishments because he doesn't like the guy.
That's so you just
100% is true. That
was
all that work. That was not a question.
Call me out, then I'll respond.
That was not a question. That was a statement. I don't know if you know the difference.
Oh, I do.
So what I'm
about to come back to you with the statement
because you don't like him. Apart from all of his accomplishments, lowest unemployment in history for blacks and Hispanics, highest stock market, first president to ever walk in North Korea and meet with the president of North Korea, lower the tensions with Russia, won a trade war with China. Come on, bro. The list goes on, and you still like, fuck this guy. I'm like, bro, come. There's gonna be I don't like him. I don't like him. A lot of his personality either. But at the end of the day, I want to live in a country where my taxes are low, stock market's doing good, unemployment's low, and we're beating other countries. And that's what Trump gave us. So all this other bullshit is a bunch of emotional bullshit of people that don't like how he is. That's why he's a winner. You're not gonna like winners. Michael Jordan. You have Scottie Pippen talking shit about Michael Jordan on this show,
The Last Dance.
The Last Dance. Yeah. All of a sudden, Michael Jordan's an asshole, dude. If you read the book and when you talk about Michael Jordan, all the guys that left his team after he left were getting big ass contracts, and they were not worth that because Michael Jordan was no longer around. So that's what I'm getting at. Like, no matter how much you don't like a person, if they're making everybody better and they're making everybody's lives better financially, economically, socially, whatever the case may be, the hell with how they act. Oh, it's not very presidential. Every other president's screwing you over. So what the hell does it matter? I talk shit, but give me a good economy. Talk shit, but lower unemployment. Talk shit, but lower tensions with Russia. And talk shit, but win trade war. You can't have it both. And the thing about a lot of Americans is they want both. You can't have it both. Either you're gonna have a good speaking guy like Obama is an idiot, and with the country, and then the Hispanics love him. In 2014, he created the cages our people are in, and deported more immigrants than any other president in history. But he speaks well. Like, you gotta choose one or the other. You can't have it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And going back to your point, that's you described Adam, point by point on this is the American people right here.
Well, yeah, great job, Ricky.
How do you really feel?
Your rehearsed speech.
No, he knows how I feel. That shit was not rehearsed.
Your rehearsed speech really played over well. Here's what I will say. I'm actually one of the few people that will acknowledge his accomplishments and say I do approve of what he was able to do.
But you don't want him in office.
Let me speak, and then I'll come to you. That's how this works. I will acknowledge what he did for the economy. I would acknowledge what he did for unemployment. I will acknowledge what he did for the stock market. I will acknowledge what he did with the Middle East. I'm able to do that. But it's not about me. I'm letting you know. I'm giving you insight to what 50+% of the country thinks. And 50% of the country, like for instance, if I hear nails on a chalkboard, I don't care what you're writing on the chalkboard. All I'm hearing is, ah! And I'm like, no, that's good for you, bro. It's like, the American people, this isn't me, Ricky, and this isn't you. The American people hear him speak, and it's nails on a chalkboard. And then you have people like you that's saying, no, what he's writing on the chalkboard is good. And people are like, yeah, I just don't want that sound in my life. And here's my point. Do you think most people, not you, not me, not Dave, not Pat, not Vinny, do most people vote because of policy or personality?
No, personality.
Okay, so you know the answer.
Yeah.
So people don't like his personality. So don't be shocked when he doesn't win.
Well, I would also add to that if you think about it this way, can Trump bring in any new voters? Is there anyone that didn't vote for him last time that suddenly
100%?
Well, no. So I would say I would say there might be some really broken Democrats who are just like, Biden has dementia, this thing's going to shit. And so you get this tiny amount. Yeah. The bigger issue though is that the amount of people who will be depressed by the end of 4 years of Biden that will suddenly vote because they hate Trump, you probably increase that by about 5 million voters, something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem Trump has. He doesn't have, his ceiling is basically there already, but the floor now moves because a certain amount of people hate him. That in some ways is the best argument for DeSantis. It's like DeSantis actually can bring in a whole bunch of the disaffected liberals and the libertarians and blah, blah, blah.
That's my point.
And the hatred of DeSantis, although the media will do all their tricks and they'll make him, what they're going to do, I mean, I've been saying this for a year, he'll be Hitler, but worse, because he'll be competent Hitler, right? Trump was incompetent Hitler, but they'll make him competent Hitler. That will be the argument, that he's functional, but has all the bad ideas. And Trump was just a buffoon. But that's the issue, is that DeSantis can bring in a whole bunch of new people. Who's the new people that Trump can bring in? That's a real issue.
I'll ask you one question, and this is my entire point of where I stand politically, because I'm not on team red, I'm not on team blue, I'm on red, white, and blue. I love America. I'm a very moderate person in all aspects of my life. Who has a better chance of getting to a 60% approval rating? Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis?
Yeah.
Who is it?
No, it's DeSantis.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for America. I want whoever it is, the president to be a unifier. And Donald Trump, as love him or hate him, he will get you 45%. No problem.
You know, I've been playing.
You ain't getting higher than that.
I've been playing a lot of old Reagan clips on my show from before he was from the 60s, before he was even just as he was becoming a politician, before he was governor of Cali, and then as president. And it's like that aspirational message. It's the same stuff that DeSantis is doing. DeSantis has to push a little more against the woke stuff, which Reagan was doing more directly towards socialism or communism. Right. But it's the same message of this country is good. Let's get the government out of the way. Live your life. Like, it's basic stuff that we all want. But yes, we still have this issue where a certain amount of people, they don't know what they want or why they should want it. And we just have to either accept or figure out how you deal with it.
Did you hear what DeSantis said about Florida? This is where woke comes to die. I think it's a great line.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's a great line. And what I like about DeSantis, and I voted for DeSantis, I see what's going on in Florida. I think he has the ability. All I'm looking for is the ability to get to 60%, because that's my one wish for America. We're not enemies, like Ricky and I. Like, can we get to a point where we're just like, yo, you're cool, homie. We might disagree, but we're good.
We may never get there. I mean, look, we have a federalist system for a reason, and the states may just kind of go their separate ways, and that you want to neuter the federal government as much as possible. That might be a much better way to deal with all of this. Like, at the end of the day, it's sad, right? I'm from New York. I lived in Cali. It's not, you don't think that it should be that way. We're supposed to be the United States, but maybe at the end of the day, the only way to do this is we will just continue to do it right here. And we will take the refugees and then hopefully make sure that the refugees know why they came here. But Cali is gone. It's just gone. They just reelected Gavin Newsom. Even worse than that, Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Gretchen Whitmer was evil. I mean, purely evil. Her intentions are evil. That's what I mean. They always know the intentions. She's evil. She was banning people from planting seeds in their gardens during COVID. I literally sent from Crazy Cali. Yeah. I was sending people plants and seeds. She's evil, and they decided, yeah, we would like more of that. The people of New York, Hochul literally said during the debate, I would do it all over again, mandates and all that. And then these morons voted for her. So at some point, it's like, well, what do you want me to do? I live in Florida. I live around freedom and good people.
Well, Dave, New York, I mean, we can talk about all day about New York, how liberal they are. But Michigan, you talk about Rust Belt. I mean, they voted for Bush, then they voted for Obama. I'm talking Michigan.
Yeah.
And then they voted for Obama, then they voted for Trump, and then they wanted Bernie, but then now they got Biden. Michigan is you talk about a flip-flopper. Every 4 years, they're going a different way. My dad's from Detroit, so I asked my grandma. My grandma voted for Bush. She did not vote. She voted for McCain. She voted for Trump. She could not vote for Trump again. She voted for Biden. Like, my grandma is from Michigan, and she, like, you're talking about someone who voted Republican, but would go either way. She's like, I just can't do this guy.
Yeah.
There's two things there, Adam.
Like, that's what's happening.
There's two things there. First of all, you cannot take an election result in America and interpret that as a mandate. And here's why. Because, the pollsters are usually wrong, but usually where they start. And they start with, okay, some basic numbers in a particular state. Let's take a state. Say a state's 43%, registered Democrat that they think are pretty locked in. And they look at history in the state and maybe 40% Republican. So that's 83. They put on that about 15 points of legitimate modern day independent voters, and then about 5 to 6%, depending on the state, for libertarian and green. That's the playing field. The billions are usually spent on that 10 to 14 in the middle. And as you look at these where we're locked in, we are locked in America right now. It's kind of like looking at Coke and Pepsi. If you do case studies on market share of soda through the 80s, they would spend billions on advertising, and they were both locked in at 44% market share. And it was, and Pepsi went to the fountain business and tried to get the fast food and do it that way. The point is, you can't take these elections and interpret it as a mandate. Michigan didn't flip-flop as much as the independent voters were moving. And Trump knew that when he did those rallies in the rural areas, he's like, I can't be 65% out here. Out here, I got to be 75 because it's got to counteract core Detroit that's going to be voting how it's locked in. And that's the first point. And so I think we have to look at the billions spent for the 15 in the middle, usually. Now, if you look at a unifier, a true unifier in DeSantis, you now see that the only way he gets to 20 points is that Florida broke, not like so many other states and races. So many races went exactly the way I'm describing here. But Florida, a bunch of Democrats walked across the line. And he didn't get 100% of the Republican vote. He got pretty close to it. And the independents came across the line because there was two things. He was a unifier and he got the job done. COVID, I think my governor got the job done. You take a look at what happened with Hurricane Ian, and he was over there in those white boots for a week, not doing a photo op dropping in. He was at the command center. He had the National Guard guys over there. He had these things, and people look at it, hey, I think my governor just did a pretty damn good job. DeSantis went from 35,000 vote victory when elected initially to this because he did a great job, and it took stones and it took standing up and then being right in those moments where he stood up. And the people of Florida have said, you know what? I'm with it. And I'm with it.
So the point you're making, Tom, what's the point you're making? You're saying
that there's a
drink Coke, not Pepsi.
there's two. One is the elections, you can't look at it as a mandate because you have to look at these tight statistical results that we have. And the second is we need a unifier that is a true unifier and somebody that gets a job done. That's not just throwing out, hate the other side because of this, hate the other side, trying to move people on emotion.
Yeah.
And
so are you saying that you would vote for DeSantis over Trump? You personally? Is that what you're saying?
DeSantis it's not who I'll vote for. It's who's earning it. And I think Governor DeSantis has earned my vote and earned my support. He's doing a great job in the state where I live.